We should have known that they weren't going to give us one full episode of Bradley and Corey before they had to go muck it all up. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you'll be among the first to know. The fourth episode of the morning show, season 4, is here. It is called Love and Questions. And just when you thought everything was right with Bradley and Corey, you knew that this is the type of show that's going to have to take you, spin it on his head, and say, nah, we can't make it that easy for these two to get together. And so this episode reveals that the magnetism that exists between the two of them, as much as they get pushed together, the world is doing everything humanly possible to make sure that the two of them don't end up together. So we pick up this episode with them prepping the morning show for a big marriage proposal, marriage reveal from Yanko to his new fiance, Ariana, who we as an audience have very little information of, but we're just assuming that within the time frame from season 3 to season 4, this is his new beau. And so they're doing this whole big dance number with doves and all dancers and dance numbers. It's pretty extensive. He's going to pop out the ring. They're doing all of this, mind you, with an interim team running the control room of the morning show because Mia is gone. She ain't coming back. She has left, and the new replacement has not arrived yet. So they are kind of now in this weird limbo stage. And so Layla, who was kind of like Mia's next up, also African American, she is sort of the one that's acting as the interim control room person. But overall, they're acting as a rudderless ship because they all kind of like, is she coming back? Can she come back? Because we still need her. What the hell's happening? Meanwhile, Alex is also reaching out to Mia because remember in the last episode, she was not present when the decision was made. And so she's trying to reach out to Mia, apologize, but Mia's not answering her as well. While that's happening, Alex's father arrives and says, what the hell did you tell Justice, that little college student that I sent your way? And Alex is like, I didn't say anything. Come to find out, Justice is publishing an article or planning to publish an article that says that Alex's father plagiarized his book that gave him notoriety, and he needs Alex's help to sort of put the kibosh on that. Alex is like, hey, don't use me, fight back if she says it's not true. But he is kind of the mindset that, hey, in today's world, as a straight old white man, his words are going to fall on deaf ears. They're not going to believe him. They're going to be like, yeah, you're just a part of the regime. We don't want to talk to you. So Alex is like, okay, let me see what I can do. She says she's going to talk to Justice and see what she can do, which is odd because moments in this conversation, he's like, everything you touch goes tits up. So I don't know why he would look forward to Alex reaching out to Justice on his behalf, because it's just going to go, as he said, tits up, unless that's a good thing now, which I my colloquialisms for non-American language is a bit different, but I feel like that still is negative, no matter how you put it. When Alex reaches out to Justice, Justice pretty much blackmails Alex and says, "Okay, cool, yeah, that hasn't been published yet, but it's close. It's with the editor, but I think I can still get it pulled if you get my foot in the door at UBN." And Alex is like, "Wait, what? I mean, you're blackmailing yourself to get into here?" Yeah, no, that's not going to work. So Alex shuts that down. Like, that ain't happening. Chip and Bradley are trying to locate the Wolf River depositions that they were told to go look into, and it's all been erased. They can't find it. They have no trails of it. They appear to have been shut down. Bradley doesn't completely care in the moment, or she does, but she's also sort of pulled off to the side because her thing with Corey is so strong and so new. They're like two little high school students who just realize that they like each other, and now they can't stop seeing each other. So Corey's kind of like, "Hey, come see me in this one room," and she's like, "Okay, cool, I'll come find you." And so if you are old as I am, you've been there and you know how the two of them feel. But they are having this moment as elder folks because they have not had a love or a relationship in quite some time. So they're going to try to find these rooms that they can to get these stolen moments. Mind you, they have to shut off Bradley's microphone that's on her thigh so they can have this moment. And that's an important piece. I believe it's going to come back to us, but her mic is off when they have this talk. And then when she goes to set, they have to remind her to turn it back on. That's going to come back. It doesn't come back in this episode, doesn't get mentioned in this episode, but that's going to come back at some point in time. And I'll bring it up when. So Bradley and Yanko start the show. They do the show under the interim regime that is happening there. And while that is happening, Corey arrives to UBN or splits up from Bradley for UBN and goes up to talk to the lawyers who are prepping his deal that he now has on the table, or that he believes he has on the table. The lawyers let him know, hey, it's going to be a few more minutes. They're still working some things out. He's like, okay, cool. So then he makes his way and kind of goes to see Stella's office, which used to be his old office, and kind of having that talk about his old thing. He's having that good look. I'm like, I remember these good times. When Celine walks in while he is having all the member berries in that office, and Celine's kind of like, miss it, don't you? And he's kind of like, yeah, I do. To that point, that Celine's like, well, what is your vision? Not of the film company. Like, I know what you're doing with that. What do you have? If you were to take over as CEO again, what would your vision be? And Corey just lays it out. Like, he starts ripping off words mile a minute, to the point where Celine even has to be like, hey, I forgot how much you talk. But his essential pitch is like, look, AI, no one understands it. No one, and those that do are afraid of it. That's not really the avenue that you should go. You should be spending all of your money into film and sports. Get live sports on here and get a good film division where you can create art house films and whatnot. So let the sports and the films make enough money for your network that you can actually go out and do the honest and true news, where the news doesn't have to be the one that you're using to make money. But right now, positioning this in a point that the news has to be entertaining. It shouldn't have to be. Let your other options of this triangle be entertaining, and let the news be what it is. It's at that point that the lawyers come in to say the lawyers are ready for Corey, but Celine shuts that down and is like, no, come with me for a moment. The lawyers can wait. Let's you and I have a talk. Let's go tour you around UBN and see some of the changes that have occurred. But she's not really trying to tour around him to see the changes. She's touring him around so the folks here can sort of see him, and he can be paraded around to sort of see what the response is. That's all Celine's really trying to do. As Yanko is about to go live, we're about to do this whole big spiel with this proposal. Bradley gets a call from Chip to give her an update about the information with Wolf River. She leaves set to go to her dressing room to have this conversation with Chip, and Chip kind of gives her the information of what she's up to. She's saying that there was a gentleman named Stockton who was an environmental lawyer who was kind of being the person that was pushing the company to look into this more. To like, and UBN is like, hey, these findings or whatnot, and eventually to the point where Stockton committed quote unquote suicide. But he was the last person to push back on the Wolf River piece and hold people accountable for their injustices. And so he wound up not being alive. And so we need to figure out what he was saying within his reports, and who was the person that kind of shut him down, so that we can see where all of this leads to. Now, Bradley comes into this room and her mic is still hot. She never turns it off. And so whatever's being in this said, like, they're not going to concern about themselves with it today because a huge story sort of breaks in the newsroom. But when people go back to listen to that footage, they're going to see and hear that Bradley, Chip, and then eventually Alex are all a part of this follow-up to this cover-up. I say Alex because Alex comes into the room. She learns that Chip is there. She goes to see Chip and sees that Bradley and Chip are together and that they're working on a story, which sets Alex off. Because she's like, hold on, Bradley. You had the chance to tell me this, and you chose not to. She calls Bradley out a bit on her BS, and like, you are doing this for more than just saying that you're trying to cover the news. You're trying to give yourself a win in the midst of having such a big L with your brother. You're setting me up for a failure because I'm here as an executive as well. Like, I'm not just a reporter. Like, you need to have given me this information. In this moment, Bradley can't really go into detail about it because she has to get back to set because she has to be present for this whole Yanko piece that's occurring. But Chip tells Alex what's going on. So when Bradley gets back to the set, Bradley's sitting next to Yanko. Alex goes to confront her. Like, hey, you need to tell me all of this information. And trust me, you're making the story. You're going by all of this information just off of some whim that Claire is having. Like, Claire, the nut job Claire. She says that in enough of an earshot that Yanko hears it. And we all know that the relationship that Yanko and Claire had, Yanko really never got to, he loved her. He never really got to separate that point because she sort of just disappeared into the wind. And so you can sort of see his brain start thinking like, oh crap, wait, Claire's back? Have you talked to her? Is she okay? Like he's asking those questions, which is clear that if he is not quite over that, he may not be exactly prepared to move on with Ariana. He's doing it because Ariana's present, but it's a mucky situation that he's putting himself in, and it gets even muckier as it goes along. Well, taking him around UBN, Corey is offered a sweeter deal by Celine. He is offered a CEO title, but to do so, he has to give up Stella and what he has on Stella, and the leverage that he has on her. Corey says his soul is already pretty black, and he's in a happy point of his life. He's feeling good about life. He's like, nah, I don't think I can do that. Like I can't do that now. I'm gonna have to turn it down, which subsequently is going to just blow up his deal. And so he's going to be a film division without the ability to actually distribute or do anything. While the morning show is going, they're about to do their segment with Yanko. They start getting news feed that there's a plane malfunction that is happening in air in real time. And everybody's phones starting to be flooded. The news is starting to change. They need to sort of pivot from the Yanko piece and go and talk about this. And in this, because of how the news is happening, they're used to doing the fluff stuff and doing the everyday morning show. But when it gets to real news, they don't quite have it set together because Mia was the person that put that all together. So Alex is there. She sort of takes over the ship as being the control room person with Layla. Layla is also in Prime, and they're kind of trying to find leads, find people to put on the air with Bradley and Yanko to sort of help corroborate the story, give what you call insiders or people who are experts on planes and all that good stuff. So they're doing that in real time. But they do have to give Yanko the heads up that they're going to have to pivot from their segment. And we're not going to do it today because even if this plane lands or crashes, they can't come to the fluff piece that Yanko has after the fact and expect everything to be okay. But they're flying by the seat of their pants in the control room. And they're trying to put people on air. They end up putting a person on air with Bradley that is kind of a crackpot, basically saying that the footage they have about the plane exploding is not real, saying that it's AI, and they have to shut that down quickly. And Layla was sort of the person who sussed that out and put that on air, and it doesn't work. So Alex has to be like, okay, Chip, you're here. Can you find anybody that you have sort of connections to actually put on the air that actually is worth a damn? And Chip's like, yeah, I'll do it. Give me 2 minutes. I'll have somebody for you. Layla then tells everybody, hey, if you're in this room and you don't need to be, get the hell out. Chip comes through. They put somebody on the air with Bradley, who is a person who was with Boeing. So this ties into some of the real life stuff that has been happening, but they basically have been restructuring and redoing planes without giving pilots new training to deal with these planes. And so it's a way to cut costs, but they're adjusting planes, putting new doors, putting new stuff on planes without having to go through the proper protocols to do so. In doing that, they're putting everybody sort of at risk and in danger. While this is happening, they're getting feeds from people that are coming live from the plane. A lot of them are minors via their Instagram, because that's who's using Instagram. And then they have to get the parents' permission of those kids to get their photos and whatnot on camera because they can't just put the kids up there. And in doing that, it sort of adds a little bit more realism, a little bit more heart, a little bit more understanding of what's going on with that plane and all of that. So then everybody, including the people on the planes, people on the plane are also watching the morning show, but they're seeing all of this happen, this reporting happening in real time. It's the first time in a while the morning show has done something of serious journalism. Bradley's in her element. She's telling Alex, hey, we're going to work as a team. If I give you a signal, back down. I will get to what it is that you need to get to, but I'm cooking right now. Don't move me. But they eventually get to a point where they watch the plane descend and have to emergency land at JFK. Everything comes out, they land, everything's good. Bravo to the team. They do a good job. Yanko has a perfect sign off about it. But in that sign off, he realizes that, hey, life's too short and you need to take the time to talk to the people and speak to the people that you truly care about. And for him, that person is Claire. He realizes that he wants to reach out to Claire. He pulls up Claire's number and face on the phone. He wants to talk to her. He goes to the back to tell Ariana that, hey, sorry, our segment got cut. And Ariana's kind of like, dang, we didn't get to do the proposal, which she knew, which is going to be hard to sort of not know that considering all the pomp and circumstance that was happening, how she would not be aware of that. There's a cake in the back that people are now mowing down on because this didn't happen. But she's kind of just like, hey, look, real talk, let's just go to the courthouse. Let's do this now. Let's go get married now. And then we can come back and do the actual wedding the faux wedding for the studio to get ratings later. And she's like, she just wants to be married and married to him. She's like, I love you. Let's go ahead and do this. I think if you asked Yanko that at the beginning of the day, he would have gone with Ariana in a heartbeat, not even thought about it. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. He's now knowing that Claire is in the orbit again, saying, well, hold on. What's the rush? Let me see where things are at. Like, I want to do this the proper way. I'm going to do this on my own time. So I will let you know and it'll be a surprise to you, which means he's buying himself as much time as possible to stretch this along to see if he can reach out to Claire to see how she is. Now, mind you, when he does meet her, Claire's going to be a very different person than the person that Yanko is remembering. But it may be already too late because he's stretching this along and stretching Ariana along to go for that old thing. Everybody wants their old thing back. Alex meets back up with Bradley and gives her 2 weeks to get concrete evidence on this cover up, or she's shutting the whole story down. To get started, Bradley asked, like, hey, look, I reached out to Ashley from the other news station to see if she could give me some hints on to why Stockton was shut down. Because she's the last person who did an interview with her. But she's only willing to give me that information if I trade something to her. And Alex is like, fine. So Alex gives up information about the oil folks that she just got back in good graces with for their sponsorship. That Paul helped. She's kind of just going to throw that under the water. I was like, God damn, Alex, I get you're setting Paul up. And you're setting yourself up, but you're using that as a way to sort of get in. And she just says, I hope you're right, Bradley. I hope what you're doing, I hope everything is correct. We have a fun interaction between Chip and Corey. As Chip's going up the elevator, Corey comes down, and Corey's sort of in a daze. He's realizing that what he wants, what his dreams are, they're sort of being eliminated right here and there. Like, he's not going to be able to get them because he doesn't have it in his stomach to sell out Stella. And it's not so much a sell out Stella. He also knows that if he gives this information to Celine, it's also going to actually hurt her. Like, it's not just a matter of, hey, I'm going to get my spot back. I'm putting her in pain. I'm just throwing my protege under the bus. And all for what? Like, do I get to live this life? Do I get to feel whole? Do I get to feel happy by darkening all of my soul? Chip runs to Corey and they have a little conversation. He's like, yo, we need to catch up and get a drink. Talks about his documentary. He's like, yeah, it's great. It's interesting because you get to a point where you have a film, but you can't do anything with it. Like, you need to have a distributor to do it, which sort of hits home with Corey. It's kind of like, yeah, you do. Like, I can't do anything without actually having a distributor. Like, I can build the best film ever, but if nobody's out there to push it, what good is that? And so he's heading over to Bradley's door, about to knock, because Bradley is the good thing for him. Like, that's his North Star, the compass of goodness. But before he knocks, he's like, no, I really want that film division. Like, I really want that spot. Screw it. Here I go. And he goes up to Celine's office and he tells her that Stella and Miles are having an affair. And he does follow it up with, like, I'm sorry, because I think there is a genuineness to this. Like, I didn't want to tell you this because I did not want to do what you're feeling right now. And Celine responds with, like, I will have the lawyers draw up your deal. But she does need a moment because you can tell that it deeply, deeply affected her. That woman is about to be on a warpath, which is going to be fascinating. Alex talks to her dad and tells her dad, like, hey, real quick, they're going to run the story. There's nothing I can really do about it. They asked, or Justice asked, for a job in UBN, and I just could not go through with it. So it is what it is. And yeah, her dad's not pleased about it. He calls her quite a few things and then hangs up the phone and doesn't even let the conversation end the way that it should be. And then the last piece of it is Bradley gets the findings from Ashley. She sends her a text with sort of a dossier of Stockton's report and the findings of it. And the legal team that shuts it down belongs to is part of UBN, but was then handled by Corey. Corey is the one who was responsible for shutting everything down. Well, damn. And you can see in that moment that Bradley's like, oh no, Corey is the one who did this. Corey did that. And Corey comes down the steps looking like a puppy. Like he knows, yeah, I just did something dirty, but I got my job back. I'm back in the office. But it's like, that doesn't matter because my North Star is you. You are my goodness. So he comes down, he sees Bradley. Bradley comes out and he's like, hey. And she says, hey, but her hey is very loaded. That like I have to bury you now. The person that I actually have some type of a relationship to or some type of feelings for, I have to burn it all down. And so in that brief moment, we got to see them be at their happiest and know now that is going to have to end terribly for both of them. And that is the episode. The biggest thing, outside of Yanko probably going to blow up his relationship with Ariana, trying to chase after after Claire, the biggest thing that sort of happens here is that Corey threw Stella under the bus, but told Celine that he had Bradley in check. No matter what happens, don't worry about Bradley. Bradley will be fine. I got Bradley. Now he's going to get in that position of the CEO, and it's going to get messed up, and Mud's going to end up on Celine and UBN's face because Bradley's going to run with the story and say that Corey's responsible. And then the fact that they have a relationship is going to muck that up even more. So you thought it was messy before at UBN. It is about to get even messier. And don't get me started on when Stella actually walks back in that door without the knowledge that Celine knows. And I don't know how long it's going to be before Corey gives her that information, but it could be a minute. And yeah, it was already juicy. Now I can't wait for even more. I am sorry that this was late. Life happened. I also want to give a heads up that the next episode is probably going to be a little bit behind just because I have a wedding that I am in out of town. So it'll come, but it might be a little bit behind. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at Hollywood80i. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.